Hillary and Paul froze to death while driving Alexandra to Montana in 1923 Season 2, Episode 6. The show's ending is also most directly impacted by the final significant deaths in 1923 Season 2, Episode 6. Paul, Augustus Prue, and Hillary, Janet Montgomery, the British couple who rescued Alexandra from detention on the train, were transporting her from Wisconsin to Montana. But somewhere between Wyoming and Montana, the automobile ran out of gas while they were traveling, and Paul and Hillary both died from freezing to death. Because alcohol decreases the body's core temperature, Alexandra only lived because she had an extra blanket and because she hadn't been drinking like Paul and Hillary had. Since most cars didn't have conventional interior heating until the 1960s, they were effectively as cold inside as they would have been outdoors, which is one of the main reasons Paul and Hillary froze to death even though they were in a running car. It's more difficult to explain why they kept driving until they were in Billings, even after the gas station operator informed Alex that there were no petrol stations. It's strange that Alexandra didn't want to take the train to Bozeman, even if Paul just insisted on driving the entire distance or misjudged the range of his automobile. Even though Alexandra has survived, she is still in a highly vulnerable situation heading into the 1923 Season 2 finale. Alexandra is still chilly and stuck in the middle of a winter wasteland, but she isn't dead yet. The only thing that can save Alexandra is for someone else to find her and take her to safety, which would be another fortunate break. In a particularly tragic turn of events to close out 1923, Tiana Rainwater might save Alexandra Dutton because the road from Sheridan, Wyoming to Billings, Montana does cross through the Crow Reservation. 1923 Season 2 Episode 6 ending explained, everyone who dies and who killed them. There were many shocking revelations and significant character deaths in the penultimate episode of 1923 Season 2, and they are certainly worth discussing in greater detail. The whole cast of 1923 was shocked by Episode 6 of Season 2, which also drastically reduced the number of characters left to recall for the season finale. A number of characters, including a significant part of the Dutton family tree, died tragically even before the war for the Yellowstone in 1923 started. There was a lot of violence and death, and the episode's conclusion might need some clarification. In 1923 Season 2, Episode 6, various characters eventually faced off against one another in a spectacular, and brutal, fashion after delaying a number of conflicts over the majority of the season. For instance, Jack Dutton, Darren Mann, met his untimely demise, whereas Father Renault, Sebastian Roche, and Tiana Rainwater, Amina Nieves, ultimately made amends. Everyone is still waiting impatiently for Spencer's, Brandon Sklenar, return, and Alexandra, Julia Schlepfer, experienced yet another tragedy on the journey to Montana. In the lead-up to the finale of 1923 Season 2, a lot transpired. Marshall Kent killed Pete Plentyclouds and Father Renault killed Kent. This week, 1923 Season 2 Episode 5's cliffhanger finale was swiftly fixed. The preceding episode featured a shootout between Marshall Kent, Jamie McShane, and Pete Plentyclouds, Jeremy Gauna. But as the bullets began to fly, 1923 cut to black. As expected, Pete Plentyclouds passed away in 1923 Season 2, Episode 6 at the hands of Marshall Kent. Pete was a Crow man, Kent informed Father Renault, and he killed him, because he ran. Eventually, Michael Spears' character Tiana Rainwater and runs his horse located Pete's body, but what transpired following the shootout was the most unexpected aspect of it. Since Kent ran over a Comanche child with his horse, he and Father Renault had been drifting apart, and their falling out ultimately reached a breaking point. Kent yelled at the priest after Renault warned him he was on the pathway to perdition, and Renault then shot Kent dead. Given his perverted moral compass and religious beliefs, Renault probably believed that killing Marshall Kent was justified in order to purge the planet of a racist killer. He even instructed Kent to scream with the devil upon his execution. Spencer gets the closest he has ever been to home. In Episode 5, Alexandra faced significant challenges, although Spencer's story was more subdued. The fact that Marshall Fawcett, played by Jennifer Carpenter, finds Spencer while searching for Tiana and those pursuing her was fantastic. My favorite aspect of the series has always been Brandon Sklenar's character's tale. But I've been waiting for him to come home for a while, and it was thrilling to see Spencer no longer alone in his bubble. Nevertheless, I hoped he would work with her to save Tiana. Although that may not have been possible, it was interesting to observe how the two interacted. The fact that Spencer's family will now be aware of how close he is to home is another significant advancement in his journey. By speaking with Sheriff McDowell of Robert Patrick, Fawcett is able to verify that Spencer is who he says he is. At the end of the episode, Alex is on his way to Winnetka, while Spencer departs Amarillo on a train to Montana. Based on their current locations, Spencer is much closer to his destination than Alex, but she now has wealthy friends who could ease her journey. I was on the edge of my seat as I watched Spencer speak to McDowell because it felt like his journey was almost over and the Duttons would soon learn their war could begin. This is exciting because it has been building for a while, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. Tiana's pursuit by the marshal and the priest was the episode's other plot point. After learning from cowboys who rode with them, they figure out the path she took with their father and Pete. Pete and Marshal Kent are shooting at one another at the end of the episode, and I'm afraid Pete will die, which would heighten the tension as the story nears its conclusion.